Cinema Classics is brought to you by the Gateway Film Center, 1550 North High Street, Columbus, Ohio. Further details and showtimes online at gatewayfilmcenter.org.
The award-winning Cinema Classics is produced by John DeSando and Johnny DiLoretto. Listen to the shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org. I'm Johnny DiLoretto.
I'm John DeSando.
This is Cinema Classics.
It is. And you know something?
Yeah.
We've had, you and I were talking about one of our favorite genres, which was Westerns.
Yeah.
And in fact, in a short while, we'll do a mashup of Ethan Hawke and John Travolta, who appear in, I think, the most recent Western, in the Valley of Violence.
Yeah.
But we wanted to look generally at new Westerns. Would I be fair to say we start at 1990?
Well, we start post Unforgiven, right?
Well, okay, and I thought maybe Dances with Wolves.
No, I mean, I think...
Of course not. You're gonna see...
You're confusing me
No,
already.
I'm not confusing you, because Unforgiven comes in 92.
Okay.
But I thought we might start a little bit back. I think that's...
Like, even before that?
Well, yeah, 90. And that would be Dances with Wolves to me, which is
You know,
something new.
Okay, that is really interesting, because there hadn't been a lot of Westerns prior to Dances with Wolves. And I'm sure you know the story that Clint Eastwood sat on that script for Unforgiven.
I didn't know that.
For a while. He had it for a long time. But he felt he wasn't old enough. And he wanted to wait and ripen and mature. And so he sat on it. Maybe Dances with Wolves was just the nudge he needed to get that up and running. I'm just speculating. Anyway, Unforgiven was, as we've talked about many times, the definitive sort of period on the end of the Western sentence. But, however, because it was successful and won Oscars...
I know, because even the story, metaphorically, could have been the death of the Western.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just the way in which his life...
Right, no, absolutely. It was the death of the Western hero, the death of the genre.
Yeah.
It was, you know, a sort of capstone. Watermark work. But anyway, after that, there was a slew of Westerns came out.
Yeah.
None of them great. A lot of people cling to Tombstone with Kurt Russell. A lot of people like that.
That's good. Yeah.
But there was a bunch of them. A Fast and Furious bunch of Westerns came out.
Lone Star, kind of a modern.
Yeah, that one was a more modern, contemplative, slow burn movie. Yeah.
And I liked, and here we have to go to 2007. It is interesting, because we don't really have, until we get into the 2000s, we have Assassination of Jesse James, which really...
Also a super slow burn.
Wow, is that... Yeah,
with Brad Pitt as Jesse James, you'd think there'd be guns a-blazing, right?
It was very slow.
It's not.
It was like the title, just a bit too long.
That's good.
But then 2007 gives me one of my faves in all of our list.
Yeah.
310 to Yuma.
310 to Yuma, right. A remake of a 50s movie with Glenn Ford and Van Heflin.
Oh gosh, good.
Which is actually, I do prefer the original, not just because I'm a purist.
Yeah.
I do prefer the original because it's more of a psychological battle between those two.
Ford does work on them.
Yeah, and Ford is so great in that because he usually played a Western hero.
Yes.
Here he was playing a villain. You know, because it's a modern, contemporary action movie, they amp up the action, and you lose a little bit of that, the psychological interplay between the two actors. You had two great actors, Russell Crowe and Christian Bale, but it is an enjoyable Western.
And who played the wacko was that?
Ben Foster.
Oh, Ben Foster! That was the first time I said we have ourselves a permanent wacko.
So I would say, actually, between Unforgiven and until recently, I would say 310 to Yuma is probably one of the better modern Westerns that came out.
Yeah.
And also there was one with Kevin Costner that he
That's
made.
right. It's right. You know,
and the title is eluding me right now.
Yeah, and it crossed my mind, country something. But anyway, it crossed my mind. I didn't put it on the list because I couldn't think of that title.
Yeah.
But I could think of Meek's Cutoff, which I know you didn't see.
No, I did not see that.
And Kelly Reichardt, I think, is the director.
Yeah.
Well, that is very slow, but very feminist.
Yeah, and it's a pioneer movie, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Going west, not necessarily settled in the west. There was a one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, why we're talking about this right now, a couple of westerns have come out recently. Again, you see, when you make a good western and there's some commercial success, it lights a little fire to people. You know, people start to dream a little bit. Even Tarantino himself lit a fire under himself with Django Unchained.
He did.
Which he called a southern.
Yeah.
Because it takes place, you know, he knows that the genre western takes place west of the Mississippi, post Civil War.
Okay.
So this was geographically dislocated in the South, and also took place before the Civil War.
And you couldn't miss, although you had to look a little bit, in that and Hateful Eight of his little tongue in his cheek.
Yeah. Well, right. I think he does. I think the tongue in his cheek comes from, again, his love of cinematic violence, where it goes a little over the top. But I do believe that he has a genuine love of those tropes and a genuine love of the moral
Yeah,
interplay.
you're right. He is pretty faithful to it, even though he always has, kind of a look in his eye about the whole genre.
Yeah, but he, because everything gets amped up.
Yeah.
But let me ask you, of those two, and I love both of those films.
Yes.
Which of those two do you prefer?
I think Django is much deeper. I think it has many more issues than Hateful. I think Hateful didn't come off as powerfully as Django. You know, obviously you have the race business.
Yeah, but it's
Django.
loaded, right?
Yeah. And so I just saw him give a whole lot more to it. One of the things that kind of put me off of Hateful Eight was the narrow scope of it. Besides the wagon going in the beautiful snow and the helicopter shots, you're inside. It might as well have been a stage production inside that place.
Yeah.
Even though I love that, I think it was confining. Anyway, yeah, it was just Django was my favorite of the two.
Yeah. Okay.
I know one in 2010 that I think may be as famous in some ways as Unforgiven would be True Grit.
True Grit. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that movie.
Yeah.
The Coen brothers coming at the genre.
Yeah.
And, I thought the Coen brothers might come at it with a little bit of tongue-in-cheek, sort of disdain,
Yep.
Which I would have sniffed out immediately. But they didn't. They sort of grounded it a little more, It was a pretty gritty, nicely done Western. Jeff Bridges.
Oh,
in that,
unforgettable, yeah.
It's perfect when he's playing these grizzled cowboy types. That thing, he's got this thing with his mouth that's weird these days. Like, it looks like he's got a mouthful of marbles or something he's trying to hold back. and when he adds that grumble,
he does.
to it,
You're right. Yeah, but I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, it comes off so very well. As again in Hell or High Water.
Yeah.
He's got the marbles in his mouth again, and it fits perfectly. Right. One in 2014 that I don't think you saw, but I liked, was one of my favorite actors, Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
In The Homesman.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like Meek's Cutoff, it's a feminist point of view. He's taking the ladies. He's guarding the ladies, so to speak, and it's a very interesting, oddball kind of western.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Well, the other one, other odd one, came to I think last year, that nobody saw, with Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Bone Tomahawk.
Bone Tomahawk. I saw that movie.
Oh, you
I
did?
think it's really great. I think he made it like either just before shooting on Hateful Eight started.
Okay, right, that's right. It's the same mustache, maybe.
Because he's got the same facial hair. He squeezed it in. It's a tight little horror movie. It's a Western horror film with this invented tribe of
the kind that you'd
savages.
Find, you might find deep in the earth if you were spelunking or something. But these guys are right out there.
Yeah, it's a really kind of fun idea. But there was at least one scene in there that I thought was one of the most horrifying acts of violence that I've ever seen in a movie.
Okay.
Did you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know. You'd have to remind me.
Oh, like they sever the man. They sever one of those
I do.
dudes.
I remember them stringing him up, and
Yeah, and I
Yes.
just remember that
yes, I
being
do.
shot in such a way that it was disturbing.
But you know what? The point you're making me think about here is that this is such a flexible genre. You can even mix in some horror with it, and as long as you don't do aliens from outer space or
Yeah.
something, it's
And you know, they've always done that to some degree. I remember there was a movie in the 40s with Robert Mitchum called Pursued. It's a film noir
really
version
a western.
of a Western.
Oh, I've never heard of
Yeah,
that.
directed by Raoul Walsh.
Oh,
How
good
about
for
that?
you. But Robert Mitchum.
Robert Mitchum, yeah. He was imagine that guy as a cowboy. It's pretty tough.
So that brings us up really recently.
Yeah,
This year, in the Valley of Violence and the Magnificent Seven.
yeah. And the Magnificent Seven, I don't know if we talked, did we talk about it on this show? Seems silly that we...
I think we did. We must have. I must have pushed us for it to do that.
Interesting.
But anyway.
Well, it must have been a tremendously memorable
Was
conversation. The Magnificent Seven, I thought was fun. That's about as good as a compliment I can pay it.
Yep.
It was fun. I thought that the tropes were overdone. It was almost like large print reading for, people who have never seen a Western before. Just a piece of advice to Antoine Fuqua. Only the Western hero gets to twirl his gun. Not every guy needs to twirl his gun. Everybody is twirling their gun in that movie. And they twirl it and holster it.
I see.
Only the hero gets to do that.
Yeah. But sometimes.
And sometimes not even, I was thinking about that. Clint Eastwood never twirled his gun.
No.
And he became the post-John Wayne icon of...
In fact, that would make me sick to see him twirling it. He's
Yeah,
not a.
You don't twirl
He's
it.
not a Cirque du Soleil Western.
Right.
I
Cirque du Soleil Western hero, that's true. Cirque du Soleil.
How about in Valley of Violence with Ethan Hawke? And this will bring us up into our next one of our next shows.
Well, you tell me about it. I want it.
Oh, that's right.
I saw the trailer for this movie, and I thought, I'll be damned. This looks like a really fun Western, and it looked like Travolta was having a good time in a sort of villainous role, and not quite so. He reminded me of Gene Hackman maybe in Unforgiven, the way it came across in the trailer. And I thought Ethan Hawke looks the part now. He's a little grizzled. He's older. So you tell me, is this something me, as a diehard Western devotee, should see?
Well, given your recent comments, I would say you'd enjoy it, but you would not think it's great. For instance, I think Quick and the Dead is far superior with that touch of satire.
Mm-hmm.
And this has it. And you're correct in looking at the trailer and thinking there was a whole lot of smirking going on about the genre, but it's not really. I think it takes itself a little bit too seriously.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think it doesn't quite know where to go with it.
Okay.
But amusing, yes. And I don't know. Let's just shut up about this because that's going to be our next show.